Do you love me? That's what I thought. You deserve more than this, Emerald.
You love me.
Love me?
Darnell's voice cracks at the altar. Emerald's throat closes. 300 people waiting. She opens her mouth. Nothing comes. That's what I thought. His voice breaks. You deserve more than this, Emerald. More than me. He steps back, walks away. Gasps ripple through the church. She's frozen, humiliated, exposed. A man enters from the front doors, tall, calm, moving toward her with purpose. She's never seen him before. He reaches the altar, close enough she can see the tension in his jaw. You have 18 hours. Her voice shakes. What? Until midnight tomorrow, your birthday, when you lose everything. His eyes burn into hers. I have the same problem. Who are you? Jihan Yoon, my 42nd birthday is tomorrow. If I'm not married by midnight, I lose my entire medical empire. Her heart stops. You came here to find you. His voice is rough, urgent. Because we can save each other, right now. The priest looks between them, stunned. Emerald's mind is racing. This is insane. He's a stranger. But Darnell is gone. The trust expires in 18 hours. Her father's treatment, her business, everything. Jihan extends his hand. So what's it going to be? She looks at his hand, at his eyes, at the impossible choice. Her hand reaches out. They speak at the same moment. Marry me instead. Their hands lock together. And the world shifts. Lovies, you just witnessed something impossible. And trust me, it only gets wilder from here. This is a story that lives between two worlds, beyond all borders, and we're serving you a tearjerker, a heartbreaker, and a game changer all in one. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? Miami? Chicago? Phoenix? We want to see how far Emerald and Jihan's story travels tonight. And lovies, if this hook grabbed your heart, super thanks and memberships keep these stories coming. But zero pressure. Having you here is everything. Tell us what you're craving. Marriages of convenience that turn real? Strangers with undeniable chemistry? We're listening. Now let's see what happens when two desperate people say, I do, and have 18 hours to figure out if they just saved each other or made the biggest mistake of their lives. The priest stammered, looking between them like a man caught in a hurricane. This is highly irregular. Emerald's father rose from the front row. His hands trembled, the Parkinson's never letting him forget its presence. But his voice was steady. Marry them, now! Her mother lunged forward, face contorted. This is insane, Samuel! Two groomsmen caught her, held her back as she screamed. The congregation was in uproar, phones out, cameras flashing, gasps and shouts bouncing off the cathedral walls. Jihan's voice cut through it all, calm and commanding. We both consent. The license will be filed within the hour. Proceed. The priest looked at Emerald. She nodded. Jihan and Emerald faced each other. Strangers, both terrified, both committed. Do you, Jihan Yoon, take Emerald Okoro to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. No hesitation. And do you, Emerald Okoro, take Jihan Yoon to be your lawfully wedded husband? I do. Barely a whisper. Then by the power vested in me by the state of Florida, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Jihan leaned in. The kiss was brief, respectful, but the moment their lips touched, both froze for half a second. Something unexpected sparked, electric, undeniable. When they pulled apart, Emerald's eyes were wide. The maid of honor threw the bouquet at Emerald's feet and walked away crying. Half the congregation stormed out. The other half rushed the altar with phones recording everything. They escaped through the back exit, Jihan's hand firm and protective on her lower back, guiding her through the chaos. News vans were already outside the front entrance. Someone had tipped them off. Cameras blinding, reporters shouting questions into the humid Miami air. A black Range Rover idled at the curb. Jihan opened the door, practically lifting her inside before the press could reach them. Just as he was about to close the door, a woman stepped into their path. Sophisticated, icy, designer clothes that screamed money. She blocked their exit like a wall. Jihan. Her voice was silk wrapped around steel. What have you done? Jihan's jaw clenched. Min Seo, I didn't know you were coming. I flew in to stop you from making a mistake. Her eyes slid to Emerald, calculating, dismissive. Clearly, I'm too late. Emerald met her gaze. Can I help you with something? Min Seo's lip curled. This marriage won't last a week. Emerald's spine straightened. Then you have 6 days to get used to disappointment. Min Seo's eyes glittered with something dangerous. She turned and walked away, heels clicking against the pavement like a countdown. Jihan got in, door slamming. We need to go, now. The drive was silent for the first 5 minutes. Miami lights streamed past tinted windows. Emerald stared at her hands, specifically at the ring on her left finger. A simple platinum band. She hadn't even noticed him putting it on during the vows. When did you put this on? Jihan glanced down. During the ceremony, you were crying, didn't notice. She looked at her hand again. Darnell's ring was gone. Jihan's was there instead. Reality settling in like cold water. Where are we going? My place. Brickell. We have paperwork to file before midnight. But first, he glanced at her ruined dress. Mascara streaked down her face. We get you out of that. The penthouse was on the 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling glass, minimalist furniture, cold and beautiful and utterly lifeless. Emerald stood in the middle of the living room. Barefoot, she'd lost her shoes somewhere between the altar and the car, still wearing someone else's wedding dress. An older Korean woman appeared from the kitchen. Kind eyes, measured movements. She took one look at Emerald and didn't ask a single question. Mrs. Chen, this is Emerald, my wife. Jihan said it like he was testing the words. She needs the guest suite. Mrs. Chen bowed slightly. Of course, right this way. The guest bedroom was bigger than Emerald's entire apartment. Attached bathroom, walk-in closet. Mrs. Chen opened the closet door gently. Mr. Yoon's late wife's clothes are still here. You are similar size. Help yourself. She left Emerald alone. The closet was full of beautiful things. Designer labels, many with tags still attached. A life interrupted mid-sentence. Emerald's fingers traced along the hangers until they landed on a simple black dress. Elegant, understated. She changed, caught her reflection in the mirror. Someone different stared back. Photos of Hana were displayed on a small shelf beside the mirror. A woman with warm eyes and an easy smile. Emerald studied her face for a long moment, something aching in her chest. Jihan had changed when she emerged. Jeans, white t-shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. The first time she'd seen him without a suit. A tattoo of Korean characters ran along his forearm, intricate and deliberate. He was on the phone, speaking rapid Korean, voice sharp. He hung up when he saw her, stared for a beat too long. That dress? Your housekeeper said I could. If it's weird, it's fine. Something flickered across his face. We need to talk before we file the papers. He poured 2 whiskeys from a crystal decanter, handed one. To the worst decision we've ever made, she offered. He almost smiled. Almost. Or the only one that made sense. They drank, sat on opposite ends of the massive sectional couch, an ocean of leather between them. Tell me why you really need this marriage, she said. The whole truth. Jihan exhaled slowly. My father died last year. Heart attack. I was with him. The will required marriage by his 42nd birthday, or the entire medical empire, 12 hospitals, 4 research centers, would revert to the board. My birthday is tomorrow, midnight. If I'm not legally married, everything goes. They'll sell it off piece by piece. Why didn't you just marry someone before now? His expression darkened. I tried. I was engaged. She died 3 weeks before our wedding. Car accident. 3 years ago. I didn't know, I'm sorry. I haven't wanted anyone since. A pause, heavy, loaded. Until today, at that altar, when I took your hand, something shifted between them. Unnamed, undeniable. My turn. Emerald's voice was quieter now. My mother died 5 years ago. Cancer. Before she died, her best friend Adana set up a trust. $5 million. My business, my building, my father's medical care. All tied to one condition. Marriage by your 39th birthday. Tomorrow, midnight. Same as yours. Darnell was supposed to be the solution. Safe, kind. She stared into her glass. Wrong. Why was he wrong? Because I felt nothing. Her voice cracked. And I'm so tired of feeling nothing. Their eyes met across the couch. Two broken people, drowning in the same water. At 9:30 p.m., they were back in the car, racing toward the county clerk's office. It closed at 11. Traffic was a nightmare. An accident on Brickell Avenue had everything gridlocked. 10:17 p.m., completely stuck. We're not going to make it, panic rising in Emerald's chest. Jihan made a call. 2 minutes later, he pulled over in front of a high-rise building. What are you doing? Come on. Elevator to the roof. A helicopter sat on the landing pad, rotors already spinning. You have a helicopter? For emergencies. He offered his hand to help her in. This qualifies. They lifted off into the Miami night. The city stretched below them, a maze of light and shadow. Emerald gripped the seat, heart hammering, exhilarated and terrified in equal measure. They burst into the county clerk's office at 10:54 p.m., breathless, disheveled. The clerk was packing up, jacket already on. We're closed. You close at 11, Jihan said firmly. It's 10:54. You have 6 minutes. The clerk sighed but pulled out the forms. Emerald's hand shook so badly she could barely hold the pen. Jihan's hand covered hers, steady, warm, grounding. Their first intentional touch since the kiss at the altar. Both froze. That electricity again. Undeniable. The certificate was stamped at 10:58 p.m. Official, legal, married. Walking out into the humid Miami night, Emerald whispered, we actually did it. No turning back now. Midnight. Both their birthdays now. 39 and 42. Mrs. Chen had left food on the kitchen island and disappeared discreetly. They sat across from each other, too wired to eat. Emerald's phone showed 94 missed calls. Her father's name dominated the screen. I have to call him. He has Parkinson's. The stress could... Jihan's expression shifted completely. What stage? Stage 3, progressing fast. He was quiet. My mother had Parkinson's. Stage 4 when she died. I watched her fade for 5 years. The cost of care alone... He stopped himself. Is that why you build hospitals? I build them because I couldn't save her, so I try to save everyone else. Emerald saw him clearly then. Not a ruthless CEO, a broken son trying to fix the unfixable. She called her father on speakerphone. Emerald Shamaka Okoro, where are you? Full name. She was in serious trouble. Daddy, I'm safe. I'm married. The trust is secure. Long silence. Or to that stranger? His name is Jihan Yoon, and yes. Baby girl, what have you done? What I had to keep you safe. Your treatment, Daddy. The trust covers everything. Jihan took the phone. Mr. Okoro, this is Jihan. Your daughter is safe, respected, and protected. Nothing will harm her while she's my wife. Her father's voice cracked. And when the year is up, when you divorce, then she'll still be safe. You have my word. The line went dead. Emerald stared at Jihan. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. 2 a.m. Emerald couldn't sleep. The guest room felt too large, too quiet. She found Jihan on the balcony. Miami sprawled below them, alive even at this hour. The ocean was a dark mirror reflecting city lights. Can't sleep either? Never could after major decisions. She joined him at the railing. Night air warm and salt tinged against her skin. What was her name, your fiancé? Hannah, pediatric surgeon. We met in med school. You were going to be a doctor? His face went dark. I was a doctor, trauma surgeon, 6 years. What happened? Lost a patient, a child, 8 years old, car accident. I did everything right and she still died in my hands. His voice was hollow. I walked out of that OR and never went back. Emerald's heart broke for him quietly. You save people differently now. Maybe, or maybe I'm just running. She took his hand, bold, surprising them both. Then we're both running, from feeling, from living, from everything. He looked at their joined hands like they were the only real thing in the world. What do we do now? I don't know, but we have a year to figure it out. They talked until dawn, childhoods, losses, dreams abandoned. The sun crept over the water, turning everything gold. Emerald yawned, leaning against the railing. You should sleep, Jihan said. So should you. Neither moved. This isn't going to stay just business, is it? She asked quietly. Silence stretched between them. No, he said finally. I don't think it is. That scares me. Me too. They were close now, his hand near her face, her breath catching. The penthouse door exploded open. Jihan Yoon, where the hell are you? They spun around. Min Seo Kang stood in the doorway, fury radiating from every inch of her. Behind her, a man in an expensive suit clutched a leather briefcase. A lawyer. Her eyes swept the scene, them on the balcony, close together. Intimate distance. Her face went ice cold. So it's true. You actually married some random woman to steal your inheritance. Jihan stepped in front of Emerald. Min Seo, you can't just... I'm the board chair. I can do whatever I want. She thrust the legal documents forward. And I'm contesting this marriage as fraudulent. You have 48 hours to prove it's real. Or I'm calling an emergency board vote to dissolve your ownership entirely. Emerald stepped forward. On what grounds? Min Seo's smile was vicious. On the grounds that you two are strangers who got married for money. She turned back to Jihan. Also, you should know, I'm not here alone. Duisu. She stepped aside. Darnell walked in behind her. Emerald's breath stopped. What? He wouldn't look at her. Couldn't. I'm sorry, Emerald. She made me an offer. Min Seo's triumph was absolute. Darnell is going to testify that Emerald married Jihan while still emotionally committed to him. That this marriage is a sham, a pause for maximum devastation. In exchange, I'm paying off his hospital's malpractice lawsuit, $2.7 million. Get out of my home, Jihan said. Voice deadly quiet. Min Seo left. Darnell followed without looking back. The door slammed shut. Emerald couldn't breathe, collapsing against the wall. Jihan caught her immediately. Hey, look at me. Darnell, I thought he loved me. He does. That's exactly why they could buy him. We have 48 hours. He cupped her face, making her meet his eyes. Then we use every single one. We make this marriage so convincing no one can question it. How? We go to war, together, and we don't lose. Her hand covered his. Promise me something. What? That when this is over, when we've won, we figure out what this actually is, between us. His eyes searched hers. Something raw, vulnerable, terrified flickering behind them. I promise. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He opened the text. A photo appeared on the screen. Emerald's father. Unconscious. Hospital bed. Monitors beeping. Below the photo, one line of text. 48 hours to prove the marriage, or he's next. Jihan's face went white. Emerald saw the screen. The world tilted sideways. Her scream echoed through the penthouse and out into the Miami dawn. Emerald couldn't breathe. Jihan was already moving, grabbing his keys, jacket, phone. his jaw set like granite, eyes burning with something between fury and fear. We're going, now. Where? Miami General, your father. They ran. The Range Rover tore through early morning Miami, streets still mostly empty, but Jihan drove like a man possessed. Emerald's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She called her father's phone over and over, straight to voicemail, every single time. What if he's... She couldn't finish the sentence. Jihan's grip tightened on the steering wheel. He's alive. Min-seo wants leverage, not murder charges. They screeched into the ER parking lot, running inside still in last night's clothes. Emerald in Hana's black dress. Jihan in his wrinkled t-shirt and jeans. Two people who had survived a war and looked every bit of it. The nurse at the desk looked up. Can I help you? My father, Samuel Okoro. He was brought in. The nurse typed quickly, face unreadable. Emerald Okoro-yun? Hearing her new name stopped her cold for half a second. A stranger's name, her name now. Your father is stable, room 604. The nurse hesitated. But the doctor needs to speak with you first. But what? Emerald's voice came out louder than she intended. Please, follow me. Room 604, father awake, furious. I-4 in his arm, monitors beeping a steady rhythm beside him. His hands trembled, Parkinson's mixed with rage, an ugly and painful combination. Who did this to you? Emerald was at his bedside immediately, grabbing his shaking hand. He wouldn't look at her. I don't know. I was getting my morning paper. Someone grabbed me from behind. Next thing I knew, I woke up here with a needle in my arm. The door opened. A doctor in a white coat entered, clipboard in hand. He saw Jihan and stopped dead. Dr. Yoon, I didn't know you were... His eyes flicked to Emerald, connected the dots instantly. Jihan's voice was sharp, commanding. What happened to him? Exactly. The doctor cleared his throat. Forced sedation, ketamine, professionally administered. The dosage was precise, calculated to incapacitate without causing organ damage. He was left at the ER entrance with a note identifying him as a Parkinson's patient who had simply passed out. Emerald's blood ran cold. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Medical knowledge, the doctor confirmed quietly. Whoever ordered this understood precisely how to dose a man of his weight and condition without killing him. Jihan's face darkened like a storm rolling in. Min-seo's brother is an anesthesiologist. Father's head snapped up. What have you gotten my daughter into? Jihan stepped forward, meeting the old man's eyes without flinching. Mr. Okoro, I take full responsibility. You don't even know her. Daddy, stop. Emerald's voice cut through the room like a blade. Both men fell silent. This is on me, too. I made this choice. Her father's hands trembled harder now. Rage and fear and love tangled together into something unbearable. To marry a stranger? To put us in danger? To save you? Her voice broke but held firm. Your treatment costs $18,000 a month. Without the trust money, you'd be dead in 6 months. I couldn't let that happen. Not ever. The fight drained out of him. Tears streamed down his weathered face. Not like this, baby. Not at this cost. It's not a sacrifice. It's a choice I made for you. Jihan stepped closer, voice quiet but iron firm. Mr. Okoro, I will end this today. I promise you. Jihan stepped into the hallway to make calls. Emerald followed, bare feet silent on cold hospital floors. What are you doing? Calling Min-seo, ending this before anyone else gets hurt. Emerald grabbed his phone before he could dial. No! He stared at her. Your father was kidnapped. And if you back down now, she wins. We lose everything. He still loses his treatment. Fire burned in her eyes. You said we go to war, so let's go to war. Jihan studied her face, this woman he'd married less than 12 hours ago. Fierce, unbreakable, refusing to bend even when the ground beneath her was crumbling. You understand what that means? She'll come after you harder. Let her try. Something shifted in his expression. almost a smile. You're terrifying. You know that? Good. So are you. Let's use it. Hospital cafeteria, 7:30 a.m., cold coffee, untouched food. Both running on adrenaline and fear, but thinking clearly now. We have 47 hours to prove this marriage is real, Jihan said, pulling out a legal pad, writing fast. Min-seo will look for cracks, separate bedrooms, no shared finances, no public affection. She'll use all of it. So we fix every single one today, Reem. Jihan wrote quickly, move your belongings into my master bedroom. Open a joint bank account immediately. Post wedding photos on social media. We don't have any yet. We need them. He looked up. And tonight there's a medical gala, cancer research fundraiser. I'm the keynote speaker. Emerald straightened in her chair. I'm going with you. It's black tie, very public. Min-seo will be there. Emerald's jaw set. Perfect. Let's give her a show. Emerald's studio apartment in Wynwood was small but bursting with life. Paintings covering every wall in bold strokes of color, books stacked in towers along the floors, photographs of her family on every available surface. Color and warmth and personality crammed into 400 square feet. Jihan stood in the middle of it, taking everything in quietly. He picked up a framed photograph from the shelf, a young Emerald, maybe 7 years old, grinning wide beside a beautiful woman with the same deep brown skin and knowing eyes. Your mother? Yes, 3 months before she died. He studied the photo carefully. You have her smile. Emerald hadn't expected gentleness from him. Not today, not after everything. She packed quickly, throwing clothes into a suitcase. Jihan noticed the hospice event certificates framed on the wall, Greek counseling credentials displayed proudly beside nursing qualifications. You're certified in grief counseling. I help families say goodbye, plan celebrations of life for terminal patients, help them find peace in their final days. He turned to look at her, something new settling in his expression. That's why you're so good at this, at holding it together when everything is falling apart around you. I'm not holding it together. She zipped the suitcase shut, hands trembling. I'm barely breathing. You're still standing. That counts for everything. They were almost done packing when the knock came. Emerald opened the door and froze. Darnell stood there, face wrecked, eyes bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, though it had only been hours. Jihan moved immediately, positioning himself between them. You have 3 seconds to leave. Emerald, Darnell's voice cracked. Please, I need to explain. You took money to destroy my marriage. Her voice was ice. What exactly is there to explain? I took money to save my hospital. The words rushed out desperate. We're being sued, malpractice. A patient died. He swallowed hard. I was the surgeon on call. I made a mistake. If we lose this lawsuit, 40 employees lose their jobs. 40 families lose their health care. Emerald's anger faltered. She understood impossible choices better than anyone alive. So you chose them over me. I chose 40 families over a marriage I don't even think is real. His voice broke on the last word. Jihan's anger was quiet, controlled, and far more dangerous than shouting. It's real enough that her father was kidnapped this morning. Darnell went white. The color drained from his face completely. What? Emerald told him everything. The photo, the threat, Min-seo's escalation, all of it. I didn't know she'd Emerald. I swear on my life, I didn't know. But you still took the money, Darnell. Silence hung between them, heavy and ugly and sad. Get out. He left, destroyed, defeated. The door clicked shut behind him. Emerald turned to Jihan. Her voice was barely a whisper. He's not wrong, though. Is this real? Jihan held her gaze without blinking. It's getting there. Back at the penthouse, they moved her belongings in. Mrs. Chen helped quietly, visibly pleased to see life and color filling the sterile space. Emerald's paintings propped against walls, books stacked on shelves, warmth bleeding into everything Jihan had built alone. Her clothes hung in his closet now, beside Hana's. She'd insisted Hana stayed. She never got to wear most of them, Emerald said simply. Someone should. Jihan said nothing, but something in his eyes softened in a way she hadn't seen before. Emerald wandered into the master bathroom while Jihan took a call in the living room. She opened the medicine cabinet looking for water glasses and stopped. 2 prescription bottles, one labeled clearly anxiety medication. The other, sleeping pills, both with Jihan's name. She stared at them for a long moment, said nothing, closed the cabinet quietly. She understood demons too. 5 p.m. Gala preparation. Emerald stood in the guest bathroom, staring at Hana's closet. Her fingers moved along the hangers until they landed on an emerald green gown. Elegant, floor length, perfect. Mrs. Chen appeared in the doorway, smiling knowingly. She helped with hair, makeup, quiet and efficient. Mr. Yoon hasn't smiled in 3 years, she said casually, pinning Emerald's hair back. Not once, not truly. He smiled. When you called him terrifying this morning. I saw it. Mrs. Chen's eyes twinkled. A real smile, the kind he used to have. Emerald stared at her reflection. Something warm bloomed in her chest, dangerous and unexpected. Jihan was waiting in the living room when she walked out. Black tuxedo, classic, commanding, but on his pocket square, emerald green. Matching her dress exactly. Did you? Mrs. Chen texted me what color you were wearing. He adjusted his cufflink, casual, like it meant nothing. It meant everything. Then he looked up and saw her fully. He stopped, cufflink forgotten. His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. 5 full seconds of silence stretched between them. He swallowed. That dress is too much? Perfect. You're perfect. The air between them charged like lightning before a storm. The car ride to the gala was charged with something neither of them dared name. Nervous? He asked. Terrified. I've never been anywhere like this. Stay close to me. I'll handle the conversations. Emerald took his hand deliberately. We handle it. Together. Remember? He looked at their joined hands. Something shifting behind his eyes. Something deep and fundamental rearranging itself. Together, he repeated quietly. Perez Art Museum. Crystal chandeliers catching light from every angle. Champagne and designer perfume in Miami's wealthiest, packed into one glittering room. They stepped out of the car and the cameras found them instantly. Dr. Yoon, who's your date? Jihan didn't hesitate. My wife, Emerald Yoon. Cameras exploded. Flash after flash after flash. Reporters shouting over each other. Emerald smiled, gripping his arm tighter than she meant to. He leaned down, lips close to her ear. Breathe. You've got this. They walked the red carpet together. Devastatingly perfect. Inside, people stared, whispered. Emerald moved beside Jihan like she belonged there. Charming, poised, impressive. She introduced herself with warmth and quiet confidence that surprised even her. Emerald! A voice cut through the crowd. A woman approached, striking, bold, familiar. Nigerian features, designer dress, eyes wide with shock. Kioma, Emerald's childhood best friend from Lagos. 2 years of silence between them, and here she was, in the middle of everything. Oh my God, is that actually you? I heard you got married, but I never thought. Chioma's eyes locked onto Jihan. Pure shock registered across her face. This is your husband? Awkward introductions. Chioma's suspicion was a living, breathing thing in the room between them. We need to catch up. Lunch tomorrow? Emerald couldn't refuse without looking guilty. Sure, tomorrow. Chioma squeezed her arm meaningfully and disappeared back into the crowd. A new complication from her past she hadn't expected tonight. Minxio arrived like weather changing. White gown, perfectly styled. Ice in every single step. She glided across the room toward them, and beside her walked an older Korean woman with sharp eyes and sharper pain. Jihan. Minxio's smile was predatory. You remember Mrs. Park? Your late fiancé's mother? Jihan went rigid, every muscle in his body tensing at once. Mrs. Park, I didn't know you were in town. The older woman's eyes landed on Emerald, on the dress, on the ring, recognition and grief and fury colliding across her features all at once. So this is the woman wearing my daughter's dress. Her voice was quiet but devastating. And her ring, sleeping in her bed. Emerald's stomach dropped. She looked at a ring on her finger, the simple platinum band Jihan had placed there at the altar. Hana's ring. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. Mrs. Park turned to Jihan, and her composure cracked wide open. 3 years. 3 years my daughter is gone, and you replace her with this? Jihan's voice was cold enough to freeze the champagne. Mrs. Park, with respect, my marriage is none of your concern. It is when you're disgracing Hana's memory. The scene was erupting, heads turning everywhere, phones appearing, Min Seo watching it all unfold with the quiet satisfaction of someone who had planned every move on this board. Jihan had to give his keynote speech in 5 minutes. He was visibly shaken, fury and guilt warring across his face in equal measure. Emerald pulled him aside into a quiet corner near the windows, away from the crowd. Hey, look at me. He did, barely holding it together. I should have told you about the ring. Stop. You loved her. That doesn't disappear. She stepped closer, grounding him. Right now you have 300 people waiting for you to stand up there and be brilliant. I can't focus. She cupped his face in both hands, bold, steady. Yes, you can, because you are not alone up there. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. Something broke open in his expression. He looked at her like she was the first solid ground he'd found in years. He kissed her forehead. Instinct, not performance. Both of them froze. That wasn't for show. Go, she whispered. Be brilliant. I'll be watching. Jihan at the podium commanded the room without effort. Cancer research, his mother's death, why he built hospitals. The audience leaned forward, captivated by every word. Then he went off script. 3 years ago, I lost someone I loved. His voice dropped. The entire room fell completely silent. I thought I'd never recover, that I'd never feel anything again. His eyes found Emerald in the crowd, stayed there. I was wrong. Sometimes life gives you a second chance when you least expect it. A pause that stretched like forever. My wife reminded me of that. Emerald's hand flew to her mouth. Tears burned down her cheeks before she could stop them. So tonight, I'm pledging an additional $5 million to this research, in honor of the woman who brought me back to life. The room erupted. Standing ovation. But Jihan's eyes never left hers. Not once. He came straight to her when he left the stage, walked right past everyone reaching for him. You didn't have to say that, she whispered. Every word was true. They were close. Too close. His eyes dropping to hers. Touching speech, Jihan, Min Seo materialized beside them like smoke. Almost made me believe it. The moment shattered into pieces. The board meets tomorrow, 10 a.m. Min Seo's smile was thin and sharp. Bring proof your marriage is legitimate, or don't bother showing up at all. She disappeared back into the crowd. Emerald watched her go, something fierce hardening in her chest. Then let's give them proof they can't deny. Late, penthouse, both exhausted, running on fumes and adrenaline and something else entirely. Emerald kicked off her heels. Jihan loosened his tie. The emerald pocket square still tucked perfectly in his jacket. I'm sorry about the ring, he said quietly. I should have told you before. Stop apologizing. She turned to face him fully. You loved her. That doesn't disappear because you married someone new. He was quiet for a long time, staring out at the city lights. I don't know if I can do this, he said finally. Love someone again. Risk that kind of pain. No one's asking you to, not tonight. Aren't you? He looked at her, raw, exposed, every wall down. Aren't you feeling this too? Truth hung between them, heavy, undeniable, terrifying. I'm scared, Jihan. So am I. They stood on opposite sides of the master bedroom, one massive bed stretching between them like an ocean. I can still take the couch, he started. No. Her voice was firm, decided. We're doing this. All of it. No half measures. Min Seo will check. Surprise visits. We both know it. They got in, opposite sides, lights off. Miami glowing through the floor-to-ceiling windows, painting everything in pale gold. 5 minutes of silence. Emerald. Yeah? Thank you. For tonight. For being there. For everything. That's what wives do, right? A pause. Loaded with everything neither of them was ready to say out loud. Is that what you are? My wife? Her whisper was barely audible in the darkness. I'm starting to think so. His hand found hers in the space between them, their fingers laced together naturally, like they'd done it 1,000 times before. They fell asleep like that. Holding on. 3 a.m. Jihan bolted upright, gasping. Drenched in sweat, chest heaving, hands shaking violently. Emerald was awake instantly. Hey, what's wrong? He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The nightmare still gripping him. The OR, the flatline, the small face going still beneath his hands. She didn't ask questions, didn't push, didn't demand he explain. Just moved closer, pulling him toward her. His head found her shoulder, her arms wrapped around him, steady, warm, unmoving. I've got you, she whispered into the dark. You're safe. I'm here. He shook in her arms for a long time. Minutes stretched into something endless. He'd never let anyone see him like this. Not in 3 years, not once. But something about her, the way she held him without demanding anything in return, made the walls crumble entirely. Morning arrived gray and quiet. They woke tangled together, her head on his chest, his arm around her shoulders, both fully clothed, both breathing in slow, steady rhythm. Neither moved. Should have, didn't. We should get ready, Jihan said, his voice rough with sleep. Board meeting in 4 hours. Yeah, we should. Still neither moved, just breathing, just being close. Just this, whatever this was becoming between them. His phone shattered everything. Kioma's name lit up the screen. He answered, confused. Hello? Her voice was panicked, breathless. Is Emerald with you? Please tell me she's with you. She's here. Who is this? Kioma, her friend. Turn on the news. Channel 7. Right now. He grabbed the remote, switched on the television. The news anchor's voice filled the penthouse like ice water pouring down their spines. Breaking news this morning. Questions are being raised about Billionaire CEO Jihan Yoon's recent marriage. An anonymous source has provided evidence suggesting the union may be fraudulent. Footage played, security camera footage from the clerk's office, them signing papers, Emerald shaking hands, Jihan's stone-cold expression, their body language screaming everything Min Seo wanted the world to see. A voiceover from an unnamed source. They're strangers. This is purely about money, nothing more. Emerald's horror was written across her face. Who leaked this? Jihan's phone rang again, his lawyer this time. Turn on location sharing, both phones, now. The board is claiming you don't actually live together. They want real-time proof of cohabitation starting immediately. We do live together. Then prove it, every movement, every moment. Starting right now. A pause. You are being watched. The line went dead. They stared at each other across the bed, the weight of it settling onto both their shoulders like something physical and crushing. They were being watched. The doorbell rang 20 minutes later. Jihan opened it to find 2 uniformed police officers standing in his doorway. Behind them, a detective in a gray suit, badge visible at his hip. Jihan Yoon? Yes. We have a warrant to search these premises. The detective held up the paperwork. Marriage fraud investigation. On what grounds? Sir, please step aside. They filed in, systematic, professional, searching bedroom, kitchen, living areas, opening drawers, photographing everything in sight. Emerald watched from the hallway, fury building like a wave about to crash. One officer found separate pajamas in the guest room closet, hers still hanging where she left them, before moving her things over. You sleep in the same bed but maintain separate clothing. The officer noted it on his clipboard. Convenient. Another officer paused at the photographs of Hana still displayed on the shelf, studied them carefully, one by one. And your late fiancé's photos are still displayed prominently. He looked at Jihan. Interesting. Something inside Emerald snapped. She walked straight into the living room, grabbed Jihan's hand, pulled him close, and kissed him. Not for show. Not for the cameras or the officers or Min Seo or anyone watching or listening or waiting for them to fail. For them. It was desperate and real and everything they've been holding back since the altar in Miami's cathedral. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard, hearts hammering against their ribs. The officer cleared his throat awkwardly. Mrs. Yoon? Emerald turned to face him, back straight, eyes blazing with something ancient and fierce and unbreakable. It's Mrs. Yunokoro. Her voice carried the weight of every single thing she'd survived in the last 36 hours. And that is my husband. Now get out of our home. The officers exchanged glances, collected their evidence photos, left without another word. The door clicked shut. Silence filled the penthouse. Jihan and Emerald stared at each other, that kiss still burning between them like something that couldn't be taken back. Wouldn't be. That was, he started. Don't. She held up her hand. Don't analyze it. Not now. His phone buzzed. Board meeting confirmation. 2 hours away. We're going to lose everything, aren't we? The question hung in the air between them, raw and honest and terrified. Jihan stepped toward her, took both her hands in his. His eyes searched hers, searching for something, finding it. Not if I have anything to say about it. His grip tightened around her fingers. Trust me? She looked at this man, this stranger who had become something else entirely in less than 36 hours. This man who had put his life savings in her name, who had promised her father, who had cried in her arms at 3 a.m. and let her see the broken parts he kept hidden from the world. With my life. He pulled her close, kissed her again, slower this time, deeper, choosing it deliberately. Both of them choosing it. When they pulled apart, the board meeting loomed ahead like a battlefield. But for the first time since this started, neither of them was afraid. 2 hours until the board meeting, and neither of them had slept. Jihan's home office, Emerald pacing, Jihan sitting, jaw tight, phone on speakerphone. Their lawyer's voice filled the room. They have security footage, witness testimony from Darnell, and now a police investigation. You need something irrefutable. Like what? Jihan asked. Proof of cohabitation, shared finances, emotional connection witnesses can verify. Emerald pulled up her phone, opened the bank app. Joint account opened yesterday. $847,000 deposited. Jihan added quietly, my entire personal savings. Half is legally hers now. The lawyer paused. You put $500,000 in her name after knowing her 36 hours? Yes. The line went silent. Then, noted. I'll see you at 10. Emerald stared at Jihan. What? You did what? He met her gaze. Steady. Deliberate. If I lose the board vote, you still get the trust. Your father still gets his treatment, regardless of what happens to me. Her eyes filled. He was protecting her, even if everything crumbled. We're not losing, she said. Firm, final. Apex Medical Properties headquarters rose like a glass blade, cutting into the Brickell skyline at 9:30 a.m. Imposing, cold. Press had set up camp outside, cameras everywhere, reporters shouting before Jihan and Emerald even stepped out of the car. His hand found the small of her back as they walked. Is the marriage real? Someone screamed. Are you facing charges, Dr. Yoon? Jihan opened his mouth. Emerald cut in before he could speak. My husband and I are here to address the board, that's all. My husband, said with conviction for the first time. Inside the elevator, alone for 30 seconds. You didn't have to do that. Face the cameras. Yes, I did. I'm your wife. That means something now. His hand found hers. When did it start meaning something? Maybe the moment you put your entire life savings in my name. The elevator opened. No time to finish. The boardroom was massive. Conference tables stretching the length of the room. Floor-to-ceiling windows flooding everything with harsh morning light. 12 board members seated around the table, faces carefully neutral. Min Seo sat at the head, board chair. Running this like a trial she had already won. Jihan and Emerald took their seats together. Emerald's hand found his under the table, fingers clasped tight, visible unity. Min Seo didn't waste time. This emergency meeting will determine whether Jihan Yoon retains controlling interest in Apex Medical Holdings or whether his fraudulent marriage nullifies his inheritance per company bylaws. Their lawyer stood. Alleged fraudulent? We will see about that. Min Seo smiled and pulled up the presentation screen. Evidence filled the screen, one slide after another. Security footage from the clerk's office. Them signing papers. Emerald's hands shaking. Jihan's stone-cold expression. A testimony transcript from Darnell stating they married for mutual financial benefit. A timeline proving they met and married in under 4 hours. A witness statement from a wedding guest who saw Emerald crying during the vows. Photo evidence of separate closets in the penthouse, taken during the police raid. Min Seo folded her arms. The evidence speaks for itself. Jihan stood, slowly, commanding every eye in the room without raising his voice. Everything Min Seo showed you is true and completely irrelevant. Murmurs rippled around the table. Yes, we met hours before marrying. Yes, we both had financial motivations. Yes, I was marrying to save my inheritance. He let that settle. But what she did not show you is what happened after. Emerald watched him from her seat, heart hammering. What was he doing? He pulled up his own presentation. Joint bank account, $847,000 deposited under both names. Utility bills updated within 24 hours. Health insurance records showing Emerald added as spouse and primary beneficiary. A photograph of them at the gala, his speech captured mid-delivery. Emerald crying in the audience. Raw, unguarded, real. A video clip played. Jihan's voice filled the boardroom. My wife reminded me what it means to live. Their lawyer stepped forward. This is a man in love. The evidence proves it. Min Seo's retort came without missing a beat. Or a man giving a very convincing performance. Emerald stood before she could stop herself. May I speak? 12 heads turned. Min Seo studied her, then nodded. Curious to see Emerald crack. You're right, Emerald said, her voice steady despite everything. This started as a transaction. 2 desperate people solving problems. Jihan's eyes locked on her. Where was she going with this? I married a stranger. I wore his dead fiancé's ring. I moved into her closet. I shared her bed. The board members shifted uncomfortably, and I hated every second of it. Until I didn't. The room held its breath. Somewhere between the filing office at 10:58 p.m. and the nightmare at 3 a.m. where he shook in my arms, this stopped being fake. Somewhere between him putting $500,000 in my name and standing between me and the police this morning, I stopped pretending. She turned and looked directly at Jihan. You want to know if this marriage is real? Ask me if I would choose him again, knowing everything, knowing the danger, the scrutiny, the cost. Her voice cracked but held firm. I would, every single time. Silence. Heavy. Absolute. A board member cleared his throat. That is very moving, Mrs. Yoon, but feelings are not evidence. Min Seo smiled. Since we are all being honest, let me share one more thing. A new slide appeared. A photograph. Jihan and Min Seo, close together, lips touching. Emerald's world stopped. This was taken 6 weeks ago. Seoul, after we finalized the hospital acquisition. Min Seo's voice was silk wrapped around poison. We were engaged. He proposed. I said yes. Then he disappeared to Miami and married her. The board erupted in whispers. Emerald turned to Jihan. Is this true? His face was pure rage, controlled but burning. That photo is real. The context is a lie. She kissed me. I pushed her away. That is the moment she captured, the part she chose not to show you. Min Seo's smile widened. Can you prove that? Silence answered her. Stalemate. Recess was called. 30 minutes before the vote, Jihan and Emerald were given a small side conference room. She paced. He sat, silent, jaw tight. Tell me the truth, she said. Were you engaged to her? 5 years ago. Yes, before Hana. She wanted to merge our family's companies. I said no. And 6 weeks ago? His honesty was raw. She tried to kiss me. I stopped her. But she is not wrong that I was planning to marry someone. Anyone. To meet the deadline. Just not her. Never her. Emerald stopped pacing. Why not? She is powerful, connected, appropriate. Because I do not trust her, and I am starting to trust you. The door burst open, their lawyer breathless. We have a problem. The vote is going to be 7, 5 against you. You are losing. Jihan grabbed his phone immediately, speaking rapid Korean. Emerald watched, helpless. Who are you calling? Everyone I know, calling in every favor I have ever earned. The door opened again. Mrs. Park walked in. Emerald tensed immediately. What is she doing here? Mrs. Park ignored her, looked straight at Jihan. I saw the news, the board meeting, Min Seo's lies. Why do you care? Jihan asked carefully. Something shifted in the older woman's face, pain giving way to something else, something resolute. Because Hana would have hated what Min Seo was doing to you. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded envelope, old, worn at the edges. She handed it to Jihan. Hana wrote this, before the accident, in case anything ever happened to her. Jihan's hands shook as he took it. He opened it slowly, unfolding the paper with the kind of care most people reserve for sacred things. He read aloud, his voice barely holding. If you are reading this, I am gone, and knowing you, you are drowning in guilt. A pause. He swallowed hard. Stop. I chose to get in that car. You did not kill me. Fate did. The room was absolutely still. And Jihan, please, do not spend your life loving a ghost. His voice cracked. Find someone who makes you laugh again, who fights with you, who is as stubborn as you are. Tears fell onto the paper. He kept reading. Love her the way you loved me, completely, without fear. That is how you honor my memory. By living. Silence swallowed the room whole. Mrs. Park turned to Emerald. Her face had changed entirely. The venom from the gala was gone. What remained was something quieter, softer. That dress you wore last night, the emerald green one, Hana never wore it. She was saving it for someone special. Mrs. Park's eyes glistened. Maybe she was saving it for you. Emerald could not speak, could not breathe. Mrs. Park straightened. I will testify that this marriage is exactly what Hana would have wanted, too. The board reconvened at 11:45. Mrs. Park took the stand. I spent 3 years hating Jihan Yoon for surviving when my daughter did not. Her voice carried the weight of every single one of those years. But watching him with Emerald, I see something I have not seen since before Hana died. She looked at Jihan, at Emerald, back at the board. I see him alive. This marriage is not a fraud. It is a resurrection. Several board members wiped their eyes. Min Seo sat rigid, fury barely concealed, but she could not counter a grieving mother standing on the truth. The doors burst open. Kioma stormed in, heels clicking against the floor like gunshots. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was hell. Min Seo rose. This is a closed meeting. I am a character witness for Emerald. Emerald whispered to Jihan. I did not call her. Chioma took the stand without waiting for permission. I have known Emerald Okro for 20 years. Lagos to Miami. Best friends. She paused, scanning the board. We stopped speaking 2 years ago. You want to know why? Emerald's stomach dropped. Please do not. Because I told her she was wasting her life on people who did not deserve her, and she cut me off for it. Kyoma's voice was steady, fierce. Emerald gives everything, to everyone, to her patients, to her father, to every single person around her, until there is nothing left for herself. She turned and looked at Jihan. But yesterday I saw something different. I saw a man who gives to her, who protects her, who actually sees her. She addressed the board directly now. You think this is about money? Emerald earns $200,000 a year. She does not need his millions. She needs someone who will not take everything and leave her empty. Kyoma's voice broke for the first time. And for the first time in 20 years, I see her full. Emerald's tears streamed down her face. Kyoma sat down beside her and grabbed her hand. I am sorry, she whispered, for everything. But you need to win this. Minseo was losing, and everyone in that room could feel it. She straightened in her chair, composure back in place like armor. This is all very touching, but it does not change the timeline. They have known each other less than 48 hours. That is not love. That is desperation. She pulled up one final slide. And it certainly is not love when one party is still legally married to someone else. A marriage certificate filled the screen. Nigerian government seal. Names printed clearly. Emerald Okoro. Married to Chidi Nosu. 8 years ago. Never divorced. Emerald went white. The board exploded in noise, chairs scraping, voices overlapping. Her marriage to Jihan is bigamy, Minseo said calmly into the chaos. Completely invalid. Emerald could not breathe. The room was spinning. Jihan turned to her. Emerald, what is this? Her voice shook so badly the words barely came out. Chidi, my ex. We married young, in Lagos. It fell apart after a year. I thought, he said he filed the divorce papers. The realization hit her like a physical blow. He lied. He never filed them. Minseo's triumph was absolute, which means your marriage to Jihan is void. He does not meet the inheritance requirement. You lose everything. The room waited. Everyone watching Jihan, waiting for him to explode, to blame Emerald, to tear apart. He did none of those things. He stood, walked to Emerald, pulled her gently to her feet. We will fix this. Jihan, I am so sorry. I did not know. I believe you. We will fix this. He turned to the board. I request a 72-hour continuance to resolve the legal matter and remarry properly. Minseo stood. The bylaws do not allow. Actually, they do. A board member's voice cut through. In cases of good faith error, Article 14, Section 3. We vote on the continuance, another member said. The vote was 8-4 in favor. They had 3 days, but first they had to find Emerald's ex-husband in Nigeria and get a divorce. Outside the boardroom, press was swarming. Jihan shielded Emerald as they pushed through to the car. Once inside, silence. You should hate me, she said. I do not. I ruined everything. Jihan pulled the car over, stopped the engine, turned to face her fully. Look at me. She did. Tears streaming. This does not change anything. It changes everything. The marriage is void. The paperwork is void. Not what I feel. Her breath caught. We have 72 hours. We fly to Lagos. We find Chidi. We get the divorce. We remarry. You would do that? Marry me again? Knowing I am a mess? He cupped her face in his hands. I am marrying you because you are a mess. Because I am a mess too. And somehow together we make sense. He kissed her. Slow. Deep. Both of them choosing it fully. When they pulled apart, he said simply, let us go to Nigeria. Back at the penthouse at 2 p.m., Emerald threw clothes into a suitcase, hands shaking. Jihan was on the phone arranging a Nigerian lawyer and a private investigator to locate Chidi. The private jet was leaving in 3 hours. Her father called. Daddy, I saw the news, the board meeting, everything. I am so sorry. His voice was soft, softer than she had heard in years. Baby girl, stop apologizing for living. You married a man who just defended you in front of 12 people who wanted to destroy him. A man who is flying to another continent to fight for you. A pause. That is not a fraud, Emerald. That is love. She was sobbing now. I do not know if I deserve it. None of us deserve the love we get. We just have to be brave enough to keep it. His voice cracked with emotion. Be brave, Emerald. For once, be brave enough to be happy. The airport at 5 p.m. Private jet waiting on the tarmac. They were about to board when security stopped someone at the gate. Darnell. Jihan saw him first, tensed, then waved security off. Darnell walked up to Emerald, stopping a few feet away. I need to say this before you leave. Say it. I am not taking Min Seo's money. I withdrew from the testimony completely. Darnell, your hospital. We'll figure it out, because I cannot live with myself if you lose because of me. His voice was quiet but certain. I am sorry. For everything. Emerald pulled him into a hug, held him tight. Thank you. Darnell turned to Jihan. Take care of her. She deserves the world. Jihan held his gaze with something close to respect. I know. I am going to give it to her. They boarded the plane. 10 hours over the Atlantic, luxury cabin, both exhausted but too wired to sleep properly, sitting across from each other, the hum of the engines filling the silence between them. Tell me about him, Jihan said quietly. Chidi? Emerald exhaled slowly. We were 19, stupid in love, got married in a secret in Lagos. My mother found out and was furious. His family rejected me completely. She stared at her hands. We lasted 11 months. Then he left. Said he would file the divorce papers. I believed him. Why did you never check? Because I never wanted to get married again after that. Not until I had to. She met his eyes. Not until yesterday. Jihan was quiet, processing. Then, do you still love him? God, no. I barely remember what he looks like. Good. Midnight. Somewhere over the Atlantic, the plane shuddered violently. Severe turbulence hit without warning. The cabin lurched sideways. Oxygen masks dropped from the ceiling, dangling and swaying. Lights flickered. The engines groaned. Emerald gripped the armrests, knuckles white. Every muscle in her body locked with fear. Jihan crossed the aisle in one move, pulled her into his arms, held her against his chest, one hand cradling the back of her head, the other wrapped firmly around her. I have got you. Breathe with me. She breathed, forced herself to match his rhythm. Steady, calm, an anchor in the chaos. The turbulence passed, the cabin settled, the lights steadied. Neither of them let go. I am scared, she whispered against his chest. Of the plane? Of losing this. Losing you. He tightened his hold. You will not. How do you know? Because I will not let you. They stayed like that for the rest of the flight, her head against his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath her ear, neither willing to move. Lagos greeted them at 6 a.m. local time. Murtala Muhammad International Airport, heat hitting them the moment they stepped outside like a physical force. Chaos everywhere, vibrant, loud, alive. Emerald stood at the exit for a long moment, taking it all in, home for the first time in 5 years. Everything flooding back at once, the smells, the sounds, the colors, the memories. Jihan's hand found hers, warm, steady, present. I am here, he said quietly. We do this together. Their Nigerian lawyer, Mr. Adeyemi, was waiting at the curb in a black sedan, a sharp-dressed man in his 50s with quick eyes and an even quicker mind. He shook Jihan's hand once, firm, then turned to Emerald. Mrs. Okoroyun, welcome home. We have located your ex-husband. Emerald's stomach dropped. Where? Surulere, an apartment. He has been there for 3 days. Mr. Adeyemi opened the car door. Get in. We move fast. Private investigator. Jihan's people are very efficient. Mr. Adeyemi opened the back door. Get in. Under Nigerian family law, we can file for dissolution of marriage even without Chidi's cooperation. But his signature makes everything faster, much faster, and we do not have time to waste. They got in. The drive through Lagos was everything Emerald remembered, and everything that had changed. Old buildings she used to walk past every day now stood beside glass towers she had never seen. The city had kept moving while she stayed still in Miami. Has he agreed to sign? Jihan asked from the front seat, phone already in his hand. Mr. Adeyemi shook his head. He does not know we are coming, but I have dealt with men like Chidi before. Once he understands the legal situation, he will cooperate. And if he doesn't? Then we file without him. Nigerian courts allow this. A notice of dissolution can be served. The court proceeds. It takes longer, but it proceeds. Mr. Adeyemi glanced in the rearview mirror. But I suspect he will sign. The apartment in Surulere was on the 3rd floor of a narrow building, squeezed between a tailoring shop and a barber shop. The hallway smelled like cooking spices and old wood. Mr. Adeyemi knocked 3 times. A man opened the door. Emerald had not seen Chidi Nwosu in 8 years. He was thinner than she remembered, older, something tired sitting behind his eyes that had not been there when they were 19 and reckless and in love. He looked at Emerald, then at Jihan, then at Mr. Adeyemi and the briefcase in his hand. What is this? Mr. Adeyemi did not waste time. Mr. Nwosu, I am here on behalf of your wife, your legal wife, Emerald Okoro. You married her 8 years ago in Lagos. You told her you filed for divorce. You did not. The marriage is still active under Nigerian law. Chidi's face drained of color. I thought, what you thought does not matter. What matters is what is on paper. Mr. Adeyemi held up the briefcase. Inside are dissolution papers, signed by Emerald. All you need to do is add your signature. The divorce will be processed within 48 hours through the Lagos family court. Chidi looked at Emerald. Something flickered across his face. Guilt, old and heavy and long overdue. Emerald, You do not owe me an explanation. Her voice was calm, steadier than she expected. You owe me a signature. Jihan said nothing. He stood slightly behind Emerald, a quiet presence, not threatening, not performing, just there, unmovable. Chidi looked at him once. Something in Jihan's stillness made the younger man shrink slightly. He turned back to Emerald. I am sorry. I meant to file. I never did. I know. She held out the pen. Sign, please. He took the pen. Signed where Mr. Adeyemi pointed. 2 signatures, both documents. The pen scratching against the paper, like a door finally closing after 80 years left open. Mr. Adeyemi collected the papers, checked each signature carefully, and nodded once. Done. I will file these with the Lagos family court today. The dissolution will be processed. You are free, Mrs. Okoro. Free. Emerald exhaled like she had been holding her breath for years. Outside, back in the sedan, the Lagos traffic swallowed them again. Jihan's phone rang immediately, his Korean lawyer. He answered, listen, face hardening. When he hung up, he turned to Emerald. Min Seo knows we are in Lagos. She has filed an injunction in Seoul. She is trying to block any marriage license in Korea before we can remarry. Can she do that? In Seoul, yes, but not everywhere. He was already typing on his phone. Busan, different jurisdiction. My lawyer has a judge there, Judge Kim. He can process an emergency marriage license. 1 slot open, 3 hours from now. Emerald looked at the time. We are in Lagos. Busan is a flight away. Private jet, already being arranged. Jihan's fingers moved fast across the screen. We can make it, but we do not waste a single second. They did not waste a single second. The flight from Lagos to Busan was 7 hours. Emerald slept for most of it, her head against Jihan's shoulder, the exhaustion of the last 48 hours finally catching up with her body. Jihan stayed awake the entire time, coordinating with lawyers in 3 countries on speakerphone, voice low so as not to wake her. When she stirred somewhere over the Indian Ocean, she found him watching her. "You should sleep," she said. "I will sleep when this is over." They landed in Busan at 9:30 a.m. local time, 15 minutes before the courthouse opened. They ran. Judge Kim was waiting in a small ceremonial room, an older Korean man with kind eyes and laugh lines carved deep around his mouth. He saw Jihan and smiled warmly. "Jihan, your father would be proud." Jihan's expression softened in a way Emerald had only glimpsed before. "Thank you, Judge Kim." The ceremony was about to begin when the doors burst open. Min Seo walked in, lawyers flanking her, 2 police officers behind them. Composed, triumphant. "Stop this ceremony immediately." She thrust documents toward Judge Kim. "This woman entered Korea on a tourism visa. Marriage proceedings are prohibited." Judge Kim took the documents, read them carefully, set them down. "A tourism visa prohibits employment, Miss Kang, not marriage. Korean immigration law is very clear on this distinction. Marriage is a civil right. It does not require any special visa classification." Min Seo's lawyer leaned in and whispered something urgent. Min Seo's face changed, just barely, the mask cracking for 1 second before she rebuilt it. She had no ground. Not here, not now. Judge Kim turned back to Jihan and Emerald. "Shall we proceed?" They faced each other in that small room. No flowers, no dress, no cathedral or choir or hundreds of guests. Just them. 2 people who had started as desperate strangers and become something else entirely in 48 hours. Judge Kim read the vows in Korean first, then translated each line into English. His voice was warm, unhurried. "Do you take this person as your lawful spouse, to have and to hold through all that comes?" Emerald answered in Korean. "Nay." Jihan's eyes filled. She had learned the word herself. For him, he had not asked her to. "With everything I am," he said, his voice cracking on the last word in a way he did not try to hide. Judge Kim smiled and pronounced them married. The kiss was quiet, soft, sacred. Not for cameras or boards or deadlines. For them alone. When Emerald looked toward the doorway, Min Seo was gone. No final threat, no dramatic exit. Just gone. Outside, Busan Harbor stretched before them in morning light. Jihan called the board chairman directly. "The marriage is legally binding, certified by Judge Kim in Busan. The Nigerian divorce has been filed. Treaty signed. The dissolution will be processed within 48 hours. The marriage to Emerald is valid under Korean law. All requirements met." A pause on the other end. "Send the paperwork." "Already done." He hung up. Emerald turned to him. "Is it over?" "It is over." She laughed, a real laugh, full and bright and surprising even to her. Jihan watched her laugh like it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. She called her father next. He was already crying. "I saw it, baby girl, the ceremony. It is all over the news." "Daddy, I got married. For real this time." "I know. Mrs. Chen sent photographs." A pause. "Jihan's people delivered your medication an hour ago. Swiss pharmaceutical grade. The finest treatment available." Emerald looked across the harbor at Jihan. He had promised. He kept it. "That is the kind of man he is," her father said quietly. "I know, Daddy. I am starting to see that." The board convened that afternoon. All 12 members. Marriage certificate from Busan. Nigerian divorce papers filed and confirmed. Everything documented, everything verified. The vote was 11-1 in favor of Jihan retaining full controlling interest in Apex Medical Holdings. The single dissenting vote was Min Seo. The board chair addressed her directly. "Your injunction has been overruled. Your conduct in this matter has been documented. We will be reviewing your position as board chair effective immediately." Min Seo stood, said nothing, walked out. Her power was gone. All of it, in one vote. That evening, Jihan and Emerald sat on a bench overlooking Busan Harbor. Golden light spilling across the water. Both exhausted, both relieved. Both something they did not have a word for yet. So what happens now? Emerald asked. Now we figure out what this is, without the deadline, without anyone watching. Are you scared? Terrified. Me too. She leaned into him. He wrapped his arm around her and pulled her close. But you are not leaving? He asked. Not if you do not want me to. I do not want you to. Then I am staying. He kissed the top of her head. Let us start with tomorrow and see where it goes. 3 months later, Miami penthouse. Morning light flooding through floor-to-ceiling windows. Mrs. Chen humming in the kitchen, moving between the coffee maker and the stove with the ease of someone who belonged there. Emerald stood at the counter in one of Jihan's oversized shirts. No armor, no performance, just her. Jihan appeared, still half asleep, hair falling across his forehead. He crossed the kitchen and wrapped his arms around her from behind. Good morning, wife. Good morning, husband. Simple, natural, like they had been doing it for years. Kioma visited every week now. They had rebuilt everything over wine and tears on the penthouse balcony one evening. 20 years of friendship repaired in a single honest conversation. Darnell's hospital survived the lawsuit, settled for $400,000 instead of $2.7 million. Jihan's legal team handled it quietly behind the scenes. Darnell called to say thank you. Jihan told him it was nothing. It was not nothing. They both knew that. Emerald's father had moved into the finest Parkinson's treatment facility in Miami. Jihan paid for everything. Emerald stopped fighting it after the second week. She visited every day. Her father adored Jihan now. That man would cross oceans for you, he told her one afternoon. He already did, Daddy. Min Seo had been removed as board chair. A formal investigation into her conduct was underway. Her brother, the anesthesiologist, had been suspended from practicing medicine pending review. Everything Min Seo had tried to destroy was still standing. Everything. It was a Tuesday when Emerald knew. 2 weeks of quiet mornings feeling off. Nausea arriving before the sun every single day. A tiredness no amount of sleep could touch. Something settling inside her body that did not feel like exhaustion. It felt like a beginning. She bought the test at a pharmacy near the penthouse. Walked home alone. Took it in the master bathroom. Stared at the result for a long time. 2 lines. She did not cry. She laughed. Emerald walked into the living room. Jihan was at his desk, phone pressed to his ear. He looked up when she entered. She held up the test. His mouth opened. The phone call forgotten entirely. Everything forgotten entirely. Is that? Yes. He crossed the room in 3 strides, lifted her up, spun her once gently, laughing, set her down, held her face in both hands. We are having a baby. We are having a baby. Mrs. Chen appeared in the doorway, already crying, already smiling. I knew it. The 3 of them laughed, holding each other in the middle of the penthouse that had started as Jihan's cold, sterile space and had become something warm and full and alive. Everything they fought for, everything they almost lost, everything they chose, again and again and again. Lovies, breathe. You just watched 2 broken people tear each other apart and put each other back together in the most impossible 48 hours imaginable. From Lagos to Seoul to Busan to Miami, Emerald and Jihan proved something the whole world needed to hear. The greatest love stories are never the ones that start perfect. They are the ones that choose each other over and over, through every storm, through every betrayal, through every single thing the world threw at them. And that baby, that is the proof that choosing each other was never, ever a mistake. This story was brought to you between 2 worlds, beyond all borders. And lovies, every single word of this was built by you being here tonight. Drop a comment right now. Where are you watching from? Lagos, Seoul, Busan, Miami, London, Toronto, Accra, Tokyo, We need to know how far Emerald and Jihan's story has traveled across this beautiful world. And if this journey moved you tonight, if you laughed, if you cried, if you held your breath during that courthouse scene or smiled when he said forever, super thanks and memberships are how you keep these stories coming. But zero pressure, lovies. Having you here is everything. That is what matters most. Tell us what you want next. Another impossible love story that crosses borders? Another marriage of convenience that becomes the real thing? We are always listening, always. Until next time, lovies, stay brave, stay soft, and never stop believing in the kind of love that chooses you back. This has been Afro-Seoul TV. Good night.